Hello and welcome to the Camo Grind, a series where I analyze every weapon in Advanced Warfare to help you complete every camo challenge by giving specific strategies, loadouts, and more, including ranking every weapon variant in order of usefulness based on several factors to give you an idea of what you should use and what you should redeem. I don't, however, just make this stuff up. My advice and opinions are based on thorough testing, in-game coded stats, and of course my own experiences in using these weapons and weapon variants, of which I own many, to complete every marksman challenge and earn every royalty camo. Today's episode is on the multi-role anti-armor weapons system, or the MAAWS launcher, as the challenges for this thing are definitely some of the hardest in the game, along with the challenges for the MAHEM, and it's usually these two launchers that stop people from finishing all the royalty camos and getting that Weapon Master EXO. The MAHEM will of course be the next episode. As you guys know, whichever weapon is most suggested will be the one we cover next, so go ahead and leave suggestions if you want something covered, but I also advise you checking the playlist just in case I've already made a video on the weapon you want. You can see I've already started to make a list on the variant ranking spreadsheet, which can be found in the description, of all the suggestions I've received so far and which episodes I plan to make next. Speaking of variant ranking, this is usually the point in the video where I'd begin my talk on the weapon variants and which ones are good and all that, but for this episode, of course, as you probably know, there are only 4 variants for the MAAWS, and they are all functionally useless. They do not affect the performance in any way, it is just a skin. You can see I've been showcasing the ones I have. I quite like the MAAWS Oppressor. It makes the sights and some other parts golden, and it goes really well with the gold or royalty camo, so that one would have to be my favorite. But there's nothing else to say about the variants. You don't need me to tell you what skin you should like, so let's move on to why everyone is here, and that is the challenges. My god, I don't know what person or team was responsible over at Sledgehammer for creating and approving these challenges, but I wonder if they knew what kind of hell they're putting challenge completers through. They are possible, but they're very frustrating. It isn't difficult in the way where it takes a lot of skill or a lot of grinding. Some parts are just dumb luck, and I think that's pretty terrible. It really seems like they made challenges for the Stinger M7, copy-pasted those over to the MAAWS and the MAHEM, made one minor tweak in the case of the MAHEM to make it 5 UAVs instead of 10, and said, meh, good enough. They easily could have replaced the UAVs and Paladins with something like double kills and triple kills. Boom, done, there you go. But nope. These challenges are brutal. However, there are ways to complete them. They are not impossible, and I may even blow your mind because some of these challenges, I bet, are way easier than you may have thought they were. Let's dive into these. Getting 75 MAAWS player kills is no big task. I mean, it's an awful launcher, honestly, but just use danger close and you'll be fine. Killing 25 vehicles is not difficult because you can shoot down UAVs along with everything else. Usually an easy target for this is the Detroit tram turret, but that's more helpful for the MAHEM than the MAAWS because UAVs are actually pretty easy with the MAAWS, which is the next challenge, UAVs. Depending on how you've tried to complete this challenge, you either thought it was pretty easy or nearly impossible. Well, here's the deal. If you're using the default MAAWS iron sights to guide the missile, don't. If you've tried it, you've surely experienced the frustrations of missiles doing crazy random tricks, not going where you're looking at all, and simply flying way too slowly to catch a UAV. It just slowly trails off behind and eventually disappears. And can we talk about that for a second? Why is this missile so damn slow? If you see someone using the MAAWS in this game, you've probably noticed how insanely slow the projectile is. It just drifts across the screen. It's so slow, in fact, that it just doesn't look like it would be remotely possible in real life for it to stay airborne. I actually measured how fast the missile flies using the virtual firing range. I set the target to the max distance, which is 27 meters, and measured that it takes a very surprisingly human-friendly number of 1.5 seconds from when I fired the MAAWS to when it hits the target. Do some quick math, and we get that the missile flies at 18 meters per second. That is incredibly lethargic. Human running speed tops out around 12 meters per second, only a third slower than a MAAWS rocket. If you want to visualize the speed better, because meters per second isn't commonly used in day-to-day life, 18 meters per second is about 65 kilometers per hour or 40 miles per hour. Why is this missile barely faster than city driving speed? That's not how missiles work, I'm sorry. Let's take a gander at Wikipedia to see how fast a MAAWS launcher would fire a missile in real life. Oh, 250 meters per second. Apparently in the future, missiles become 14 times slower. Thanks, technology. You can probably tell I hate the MAAWS launcher. To be clear, my main complaint is not that the missile isn't realistic. I don't play Call of Duty for realism. It's an arcade shooter, I get that. But it's just stupid how slow it is. It's hard to use. It isn't often that I'll compliment COD Ghosts, but at least their MAAWS game was on point. That thing was alright. Advanced Warfare, I don't know what you're doing, but this is the derpiest launcher with the strangest missile behavior I've ever seen. Now that we have that out of the way, UAVs, you want to know how to shoot them down. Well, don't use the iron sights because they're crap. It's a hollow box, for God's sakes. There's even a rear-mounted iron sight right here for you to look through, I'm guessing. But what does your character do? His face goes right through the thing. Yep, because why not? Was this guy even trained? Anyway, to clear up a common misconception that I had while trying to shoot down UAVs, you need to aim down your sights for the missile to go where you're looking. If you're not ADS, it will ignore you. As you can see, the missile here only follows where I'm looking when the launcher is un-ADSing, if you know what I mean. Then after that, it travels in a straight line. But when I try it while aiming the whole time, it curves all the way around. So apparently it isn't laser guided at all. It's telepathically guided. Maybe that's why it's so slow. You're controlling it with your mind. Oh wait, the game actually says it's laser guided. Fuck! I'm trying to help you, Advanced Warfare! So the MAAWS iron sights are crap. We've covered that. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. We're on topic now. What you need to do to shoot down a UAV is simply to fire the missile, then switch to a weapon with a better iron sight or red dot sight preferably, and use that to track the UAV accurately. If your sight becomes obstructed by an object for even a second, or if you slip off the UAV, you might have just ruined yourself and the missile will fly off in some crazy direction. However, if you keep that little red dot glued to the UAV, you should be fine. And you know, if you're using a red dot sight to guide the missile, that only further proves this missile is not laser guided at all. If it was, the missile should be doing a U-turn and coming right back at you, since the launcher on your back is probably pointed at the ground. Anyway, once you get the hang of it, it really isn't difficult, I promise. It'll be no problem, and like I said, you can use UAVs to easily complete the vehicles challenge as well. If you have any other questions, or if this isn't working for you, just leave a comment and I'll try to help you further, but it really should be fine. Next up is Warbirds. This isn't really all that tough in my opinion. You see a ton of Warbirds, especially for playing Domination. It's arguably easiest to earn kill streaks in Domination, so you see Warbirds constantly. The Warbird has 2,000 health and the MAAWS missile deals 1,000 damage, so you could use 2 missiles to take it out, but since you only start with 1, you'd have to kill yourself and find your way back in time, which can be tough. So you'll probably find it easier to shoot the Warbird first to weaken it. You just have to bring it under half health, of course, and to know when that happens, you could look at weapon damage charts and calculate it for your weapon. For example, you would need a maximum of 42 shots from the Bal 27 to bring it below half, or a much easier way would be to simply look for the smoke that comes from the propeller when it's damaged. That'll tell you that it's okay to fire the MAAWS, but don't mistake the smoke that appears when the Warbird is shooting its main gun to the smoke that happens when it's injured. You can tell the difference, but they are similar, so that's something to watch out for. The next challenge is the Paladins, but I'll come back to that. It is the hardest in my opinion, so I'll leave that for last. The carbon fiber challenge is for Goliaths, and there's nothing hard about killing Goliaths with launchers. There is no special trick. The only difficulty comes from waiting for someone to actually call in a Goliath that is not running the trophy system module. I got really lucky and got the last 3 Goliath kills I needed all in one game thanks to this guy, JKLO223. I don't know if you're out there, man, but thank you very much for being the only person in the world to actually run the Goliath score streak and earn 3 of them. So that was some crazy luck for me, but even if you do not get insanely lucky like that, you should see Goliaths over time, and if you can quickly switch to a MAAWS class or always run one as a secondary, you should be good there. And of course, if you're desperate, remember you can always run the Goliath score streak yourself in hardcore and let someone take it. If they're a friend or an enemy, it doesn't matter, you can kill them and get the point towards the challenge. The friendly who took the Goliath suit will probably just assume you were mad that he took your Goliath. The second to last challenge are the recon or assault drones. This is where I may blow your mind, because on the surface, this is actually a really tough challenge. Hitting those little drones with the MAAWS can be quite the pain. However, you can easily knock out this challenge in about 30 seconds. No exaggeration there. I've seen one method where you can earn your own AI assault drone with fast hands and shoot it down when you call it in, which is an okay strategy, but even that is way harder than this has to be. You can destroy your own tracking drones. Yep, that's right, they count. Mind blown. Run 2 of these on your class, shoot them both, respawn, do it again, respawn, shoot 1 more, and you're done. Easiest camo here. I'm surprised this isn't something I tested and figured out sooner, because I usually try to think like a developer and test these kind of workarounds in games, but for some reason this time around I just figured that wouldn't work. Well, silly me. I was actually enlightened to this strategy in a comment by someone who goes by the name of 221 Pro Hunter, and he credits his friend with the discovery, and I can't know if he found it through testing or heard it from somewhere else, but regardless, thank you for letting me know, good sir, and hopefully many more people are helped by me relaying this information. So we have one challenge left. The Paladin, the highest flying streak in the game, and it has 3,000 health, so it requires 3 missiles. I've tried to hit this thing with 3 MAAWS missiles, and let me tell you, I don't think it's possible. If you fire a missile, then guide it until it hits, it will take too long. The Paladin will always fly away before you can get 3. So unless you have 2 other friends who will help and also do the same thing with their MAAWS launchers before you, it's not going to work. I even tried firing a missile, dying, firing another missile, dying, then firing the third, and only then guiding all 3 while they were slowly drifting through the air, but that never really worked out either. One missile was always too slow and despawned in the air somewhere. I only ever got 1 or rarely 2 hits before the time ran out. And this was an extra time module Paladin too, and I was testing this out in a private lobby. Thank you to my friend Monkey for taking the time to help me there. So I can't picture that ever working in game. So we need another method. And it turns out there is one. You need to take advantage of the fact that the Paladin flies at different altitudes on different maps. If you've tried firing bullets at the Paladin to weaken it, just like we did with the Warbird, you've probably realized that you just can't do it. It's too far away. Or is it? I've done a lot of testing and researching other people's findings as well. My results lined up, and it turns out that you can shoot the Paladin with bullets on certain spots on Riot, Biolab, and the DLC 1 map Sideshow. With that knowledge, it is of course possible to use a gun to deal that 2,000 damage and lower the Paladin's health below 1,000 in order to kill it with 1 missile. You're gonna need to set up a class like this. You want a suppressed LMG, so not the XMGs. Yes, the XMGs are great at taking down air support, but for this, you don't want to destroy the air support, you want to weaken it. And if you're shooting the unsuppressed XMGs, someone's going to find you and they will kill you, and it does not have to be Liam Neeson, especially because you'll be standing either on the roofs of Riot or the ADOM area of Biolab or in the back of Sideshow. Someone will definitely come get you in those areas if you're firing an unsuppressed weapon for that long. I do recommend the MLE as it does have the most impressive long-range damage profile, and you're also going to want all of the UAV and air support stealth perks you can possibly find. And I would recommend having a grenade to quickly kill yourself if you need to get your MAAWS missile back. A weapon variant like the MLE Heavy is good to use, but it doesn't really matter. You can use the base variant. Just whatever you do, don't use the MLE Red Shirt, Crafty, Chicanery, or Subverter, as those 4 will not deal 2,000 damage before needing to reload, and you don't want to have to reload. As far as the technique goes, you don't want to weaken it and then fire your MAAWS, as it still takes a long time for that missile to reach the ship. You can see here I tried to do that, but I was already too late anyway, and the Paladin flies away just before the missile can connect. So you'll want to fire the MAAWS, then aim at the Paladin and weaken it while guiding your MAAWS missile at the same time. 62 shots with the base MLE or 57 shots with the MLE Heavy will be enough to deal that 2,000 damage. But you might not hit every shot, so you can fire a bit more, but be careful, as 91 shots from the base MLE or 86 from the Heavy will destroy the ship, and you do not want that. It's pretty tricky, but that's the technique, and it honestly isn't that bad. The worst part of this challenge is the fact that Paladins are relatively rare, and when you factor in that this only works on these 3 maps, the situation where you have a chance to use this technique is very, very rare indeed. So there isn't much you can do about that. One method is hardcore domination. As I said previously, you're gonna see the most kill streaks in domination, so you can play hardcore domination with the advantage being you can shoot down your own teammates' Paladins as long as you're okay with feeling like an asshole. Yeah, it's a dick move, but you only need 3, and honestly, if a teammate shot down my Paladin for fun, well, screw you. But if a teammate shot down my Paladin for this challenge, knock yourself out. Go right ahead, because I've been there. On top of this, the advantage of hardcore domination is if you run the double tap better odds support care package, you can drop that in hoping for a Paladin, and if it is one, a teammate or enemy can take it, and you'll have a chance at shooting down that Paladin. So yes, waiting for Paladins to be called in is very annoying, but waiting to get the right map is arguably worse. If you're playing naturally and you just have this challenge in the back of your mind in case you hear a Paladin coming in, well, it might not be that bad for you. However, if you're like me, 100% focused on the challenge, you won't even want to play the game if it isn't Biolab Riot or Sideshow. The game kept throwing me into some lobby where the match had just started on instinct or whatever, and I just have to leave or wait it out, and I'm never one to rage quit or leave games. We could be getting stomped and I'll just play it out and I don't care. But with this challenge, I just didn't want to waste 15 minutes playing on a map where I knew the challenge was impossible. Thanks, Sledgehammer. So I back out, and then of course I get put back into the same lobby multiple times, which is so frustrating. Rip win-loss ratio, not that I really care. But I hear that actually won't happen in Black Ops 3, by the way. They're going to finally factor in the fact that you just left that lobby into matchmaking. It won't just go off ping and skill. It'll get the second best lobby for you after the one you just left, which is amazing. But back on topic, it sucks finding the right game unless you have a party. If you have friends to help you with this, your life will be so much easier. Congrats on having a social life. Now you'll have a better time shooting down Paladins. Except if you're watching this video on how to shoot down Paladins, you might not have friends willing to help you. Well, if you do, you'll be at a great advantage because number one, rolling in a party of 3 or 4 will basically completely prevent you from being thrown into a game in progress because it's very rare that a game is that empty. So you're going to keep seeing new lobbies, which is awesome. You'll have the option to vote for a map, and if it isn't one you want, back out and try again, and you'll easily be able to select the right map. And if it's hardcore domination, your friends could even run the Paladin score streak with extra time and allow you to shoot it down. Those are some very helpful friends, if I do say so myself. Paladins are certainly the toughest challenge here, in my opinion, and I wish you good luck with that. So, at long last, that's about it. Thank God. Finally, the MAAWS is quite a pain, but the challenges are possible, and if you stick it out, you could earn yourself that glorious Weapon Master EXO. Next episode, we'll be taking a look at the MAHEM, of course. It's pretty similar, so it should be a shorter episode, especially because I won't take up a few minutes ranting about how terrible it is. That's always fun. If you have a specific weapon or two you'd like to see covered, either for the Camo advice or the variant ranking, or even just the marksman challenge like the heavy shield, don't hesitate to suggest it, and I'll add it to the list. If I see multiple people requesting one thing, the priority on that weapon will just get bumped up, and that's how we will choose our next weapon. So I hope you are more knowledgeable about the MAAWS launcher now than you were 17 minutes ago, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.